Joined now by Vicki McKenna for CultureCast. Vicki. This is a hell of a story we got going on here. A public school in Texas has actually given exceedingly graphic sexual content, some of the most extreme sexual content I have ever seen in a public school, given to 13-year-olds under the guise of English class. And when moms protested, teachers and local community members who think this is a great idea sent threatening, vulgar, and blasphemous material through the mail, anonymous to these parents, doxing these parents. One parent received a dead animal in the mail simply for protesting the sexualization of their children.
All they did was say, please don't teach my 13-year-old about how children are performing sex acts on adults. We have crossed a line in this country with education that I don't think anybody realized we were up against, that we were about ready to step over. And I'm wondering if anybody sees it and anybody knows how to get back.
Yeah, this is not an anomaly, as you know, Vicki. We had a situation in Loudoun, Virginia, where something similar happened about 3 weeks ago, where a group of teachers actually got together in their spare time, made a list of all the people, all the moms and dads in their school who opposed the radical sexuality, the Black Lives Matter curriculum, and set about trying to destroy them, to dox them, to destroy them on social media, to actually try to get them fired from their jobs. We had in North Carolina, we had a school administrator who said, whenever school boards, whenever moms and dads complain about this kind of stuff to school boards, ignore them. Any mom and dad who complains against our Black Lives Matter curriculum, any mom and dad who complains about the sex in the school is clearly a white supremacist, and you are under no obligation to even listen to them. And now in Texas, where they've, of course, Austin, let's be very clear, Austin is questionably Texas, right? You wonder why.
It's Madison.
Yeah, exactly. You'd like to see the rest of Texas handle Austin all on its own. It'd be very nice. But like you said, they're sending these moms and dads dead animals. And the blasphemous anti-Christian stuff that hit the mail after the break here, we're going to talk about that. But so this is not an anomaly. This is the new wave, right? The schools own your kids. You don't own them.
Oh, sure. And here in Wisconsin, it's happening as well. Elmbrook schools handed out a very graphic sexual content survey to freshman students. And I believe 7th and 8th graders were also given this. And as the children were answering questions, have you ever had anal sex? I'm going to edit some of what was in this survey. Very, very graphic, personal things. The answers were appearing on a screen in real time. When parents complained, as they, of course, did in Elmbrook schools, the parents were haters. The parents were prudes. The parents didn't understand that children needed to know this stuff. And it makes you shake your head and say, how about we ask all of the adults who think kids should be exposed to this kind of content? How about we read that passage of the 7-year-old girl performing a sexual act on an adult in front of those adults on the school board, or ask those same graphic sexual questions that 7th graders and 8th graders and 9th graders are being asked of the school board itself, and see how fast they'd crawl out of their skin before they'd actually answer those questions.
I'll bet you that if a mom took that very text about a 7-year-old performing sex acts on an adult and read them out at a public school board meeting, somebody would have them arrested for child pornography.
Yeah,
if you were reading that out loud in a public meeting, there would literally be, I believe, not figuratively, the possibility that child pornography charges would be filed against the person doing that reading, especially if there were kids in the room. But when you present it to 13-year-olds, 12-year-olds in a middle school classroom, that's perfectly fine. After the break,
when an adult presents this material to children, try cutting and pasting it and putting it on Facebook. See what happens.
Yeah, Twitter will be all over you. Let's pick this up after the break. I want to show you, and this is a warning for moms and dads. If this next 5-minute segment, you need to see this mom, but your kids don't need to be in the room with you, okay? Back again with Vicki McKenna for our Culture Cast for this week. And a horrifying story out of Texas. It is Austin, Texas, where the Leander School District is showing presenting really graphic sexual information to kids as young as 12 and 13. And they're presenting them in English class, not in health class, not in sex ed class. This is in English class. When moms and dads think the kids are reading The Great Gatsby or something, you're presenting them with radical literature that has 7-year-old children children performing sex acts on adults. So mom and dad, you need to see what's happening here, but I would ask you, please send your kids away or send the kids out of the room, because what happened to these moms and dads who fought back? Moms and dads protested. Not many of them weren't even protesting on the grounds of Christianity. They were simply protesting on the immorality of what was being done. Well, local teachers and local neighborhood people who had no problem with this radical sex curriculum started sending horrific things through the mail. Take a look at this. It is a cardboard penis. Across where the testicles are is written, "He has risen," of course, an obvious reference to the resurrection of this Easter week we're in, but also, obviously, the erection. The penis has risen. And shockingly, around the head of the penis is a crown of thorns. This is exceeding blasphemy, right? And again, most moms and dads did not come at this from the angle of biblical Christianity. Right. They were just upset moms.
They were just not wanting their young children to be exposed to, vile, vulgar, deviant sexual activity. And so they're attacked this way. There's a couple of other ones that are horrifying. And I mean, imagine getting a dead animal, a cardboard, penis blaspheming Christ. That's bad. Imagine seeing a dead cat or something like that. And that's the threat now you are processing if you speak out as a parent. That is a threat that makes people fear for their own safety. That is the reaction now that parents are getting. And it's not, you don't just have to complain about sexual content. Parents are getting threatened if they want their children back in classrooms. That is all it will take. You were talking about that Virginia school district. One of the things that was also, that those parents were also demanding was that their kids be back in in-person education. And for that, they were being doxxed. There is a group in southern Wisconsin of parents, liberal parents, conservative parents. They all want their kids back in front of the teachers. The teachers union is saying no. For that, they're being accused of being Nazis. There is one woman who leads the group who decided she was going to run for school board, who is now being accused of being a Nazi because she disagrees with the teachers union position on in-person education. So when, that's what parents are up against. I don't blame parents for being terrified, but you know what? There's safety in numbers. If it's one, you're going to get culled from the herd by these radical, vile, and maybe even violent activists and extremists that are out there. But if there's more than one, it's kind of hard, to call everybody a Nazi and make other people believe it. You can do it, but it's hard to make other people believe it. But I'll tell you what this is all designed to do, Duke. This is designed to keep parents quiet, to keep their heads down, to convince them not to do any investigation into the appalling nature of education in this country, to ask them not to question the curriculum at all, to not look at the materials and not say, my kids aren't being taught anything.
So there's this. There on the left is the cardboard penis sprinkled with sparkly colors, glitter. And here's what the note says. Hope this sparkling dick calms down your fear-mongering, you book-hating Philistine. Right? How's that for a message for mom and dad?
Mind you, these are people who want Jeff Bezos to delete books from Amazon. They the digital version of book burning. But someone who doesn't want their kid, again, I'm going to explain that this book contained a graphic description of a 7-year-old performing a sexual act on an adult male. That's the complaint, not books.
Hey, Vicki, I got to ask
you. The book haters are the ones who want to delete the books. I'm telling you, I'm sorry, Duke, go ahead.
I got to ask you, because this is a serious question. You're right, the book deleters, Dr. Seuss was banned, number of his books, 6 of his books, because of the suggestion of racism. It wasn't racism. He wasn't drawing black people with big lips or anything. He was drawing made-up characters that made modern-day racial sensibilities uncomfortable. Why is the left, how nobody calls this out? When it comes to things like race, everything is suggestive of racism, so everything has to go. We did a story on your show the other day about how sheet music, literally sheet music, writing down notation so you can play things like symphonies, that now has to be challenged because it's white supremacist. So when it comes to race, for progressives, everything is so sensitive. When it comes to sex, they're going to put big cardboard penises with a crown of thorns on it right in the mail, and they don't see the least bit problem with that. How can the liberal mind function that way?
Well, this is just about breaking down cultural norms. One of the things that has to happen is in order to transform a society, and you take, the institutions of Western civilization, the family, the church, a representative democracy like we live in, or sort of used to live in here. If you're going to break down foundational institutions of the United States, you have to break down the foundational norms that support those institutions, that demand those institutions. And one of those norms is sexuality. If you can divorce the idea that sex is supposed to be something that is private, that it is something that is done only out of love, that any kind of sort of promiscuity should be discouraged, that marriage should be something sought in a religious setting. If you can take that idea that is a cornerstone of American culture and you can shatter it, and one of the ways you shatter it is you treat sex as if it's nothing. Sex is nothing more than brushing your teeth. Sex is nothing more than, taking a shower. If you can reduce sexuality to the mundane, then I think that a lot of the left, sort of, I guess we could maybe call these the sexual Marxists, believe that they will be able to effect a change in law and a change in culture rapidly. And I'm not sure they're wrong.
No, they're right. And I'll go one step further to end this segment with a rather disgusting observation. If teaching 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds, giving them books in English class that seem to promote the idea of 7-year-old girls performing sex acts on adults, maybe the progressive left, maybe the silver lining here, Vicki, is that the progressive left can no longer be outraged by the Catholic Church pedophile priest scandal. I mean, because according to the public schools now, children performing oral sex on adults, that's perfectly natural. So good, maybe we can get past that. Maybe the progressive left will drop that particularly hobby horse, although I'm not betting on it.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Most of you know our show is being censored by big tech.
While this makes it harder to meet the cost of producing the show, that's part of it. It also demonstrates that we must be having tremendous success, or they wouldn't bother to try to shut us down.
If you like hearing truth and common sense with a love for freedom, please join the Patriot Club with a one-time $99 tax-deductible donation. And you'll get this sweet vessel of joy as part of a thank you for joining the Patriot Club.
Etched with the American flag and the words freedom never tasted so good.
All you have to do is visit patriotclub.us and become a Patriot member today.
That's patriotclub.us. Thank you and God bless.